Hello friends, this is the second lecture on the series of GST miscellaneous provision. In this lecture, we will be studying the second part of our pending discussion. First of all, we will be discussing anti-profiteering measures and zero-rated supply. The fifth part of this lecture series we will be discussing in the next lecture. So first of all, today in this lecture we will be discussing anti-profiteering measure. So you see, like we have in the discussed in the case of unjust enrichment, that profit, whatever the benefit of the refund, it should be transferred to the ultimate customer or the customer. Now similar provision of anti-profiteering measure is here under section 171 of the CGST Act. Now which talks about that if any reduction in the taxes and the benefit of that reduction should be transferred to the ultimate customer. Now if you see, the GST is an indirect tax law, and where the supply is made on the basis of some price which is already predetermined, which includes cost of the product plus profit of the supplier and plus taxes to be imposed on that particular supply, which makes that total makes to MRP that has to pay to the customer. In this process, supplier deposits tax to the government on the time of supply of on the sale of such supply, and the customer has to pay these taxes whenever the customer is making purchases of the goods. So that's why you see this is the indirect tax, because supplier is the intermediary, is behaving like intermediate between customer and government. And if you see, whatever the tax is paid by the supplier on the behalf of customer, it is reimbursed by the customer to the supplier. Now question arises, any decline in tax should result into equal amount of reduction in product price. If supplier reduces the tax rate as per the government direction but do not decrease the product price in same fashion in order to make profit out of tax reduction, is called profiteering. So profiteering, it's a conceptual term in which one is making money out of the saving of tax, or you can say by not transferring the tax benefit to the ultimate customer. Now if we see the glimpse of GST structure, though we have done at various point of time, but again it is required to discuss the anti-profiteering measure. Let's say there are two supplier, one is supplier X who produces the goods and the cost of sale is 90 of that Mr. X, profit is rupees 10, which which the price is of base price is rupees 100. Now Mr. X imposes tax at the rate of 20% as per the government requirement, 20% on 100, that comes to 20, and MRP it is rupees 120. Now this goods are sold to supplier Y, and it is sold at the price of rupees 120. So that's why the purchase price for the supplier Y of that particular commodity will be rupees 120. Now further, supplier Y makes some addition on that particular goods, and the addition are of rupees 40, and he included his profit at the price of rupees 10. The production cost after changes, the changes made by supplier Y, comes to 150. Again the rate is same on that particular commodity, that is 20%. Now the 20% of 150 comes to rupees 30, and total MRP will be 180. Now we have to remember that Mr. Y has already paid tax of rupees 20 on such supply whenever he has purchased the goods from Mr. X. Now that rupees 180 will be the price that ultimate consumer has to pay when these goods are sold to the consumer, and 180 includes that rupees 30. Now we have to see what is the total amount that is to be deposited to the government treasury, because rupees 30 is the burden on the consumer as a tax, and we have to see whether that the equivalent amount has been deposited by the supplier to the government treasury or not. So we can see supplier X has deposited rupees 20 to the government, and supplier Y has will pay rupees 10 only, because he will take the input tax credit of rupees 20 on the outward tax supply. So the outward tax supply, it is of rupees 150, and on that tax is rupees 30. So 30 minus input tax credit 20 comes to rupees 10. So if you make the total of rupees 20 and 10, that comes to rupees 30, which is certainly equal to the amount that is paid by the consumer. So this is the normal situation. Now the question arises, if any price decrease of the tax rate is decreased, then what will happen on that supply? First of all we will see the discussion 171, and with one more example, the actual case law, we will see the impact of that reduction in price. So what section 171 deals, it is on the anti-profiteering measure, and it says any reduction in the rate of tax on any supply of goods or services or the benefit of input tax credit shall be passed on to the recipient by way of commensurate reduction in prices. Now you see the word recipient is here used. Consumer word is not used because recipient is the wider term as compared to consumer or customer. So here recipient may be the immediate following the retailer, or it may be the dealer, or it may be the customer. Now it says any reduction in the rate of taxes, the benefit of that must be transferred to, it must be passed on to the recipient by way of commensurate reduction in prices. I mean to say the proportionate prices must be reduced of the goods. Now the central government, the subsection 2 of section 171 and section 3, they are regarding the procedure, how that will take place. I would say there are some recommendation by the committee, or you can say there are some rules, and under these rules we will see that how the things takes place if the anti-profiteering measures, in order to pursue anti-profiteering measures. So if someone is making profit out of these transaction where the actual taxes has been reduced, but the benefit of that reduction has not been passed on to the recipient. So you see subsection 2 of section 171 explain the central government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification constitute an authority or empower an existing authority constituted under any law for time being in force to examine whether input tax credit availed by any registered person or the reduction in the tax rate have actually resulted in commensurate reduction in the price of the goods or services or both supplied by him. Subsection 3 states the authority referred in subsection 2 shall exercise the power and discharge such function as may be prescribed. So these two section, I mean section 171 subsection 2 and subsection 3, these are the procedural section, and the practical section is only section 171 subsection 1, which directs to the supplier to pass on this benefit to the recipient on whenever there is a reduction in the tax rates. Now you see this one case of Domino's Pizza, and the case is of Bengaluru. A consumer, Kiran Chimirala, had one stuffed garlic bread and one medium veg pizza at Domino's Pizza in Bengaluru on October 20, 2017. He paid rupees 152 and 519 for these two items respectively. This person repeated the same order on the another day, that is November 19, 2017, and glad when he noticed that he had to pay lesser price, that is rupees 146 and 509 respectively. But he was surprised when he compared these two invoices. So you see this picture where these two invoices are compared, where you can see the first part is the part of the bill of October order, where medium veg pizza was, the base price was of rupees 440 and the GST rate was 18%, 79 comes to 79, and the total price to be paid by consumer it is 519. Similarly, in the case of garlic bread, the base price was 129 and at the rate of 18 GST was 23. Total price paid by the consumer comes to 152. But in the month of November, the GST rate was reduced from 18 to 5% on these two items, and you can see the rate has been reduced, but in order to make the profit out of it, what that company has done, it has increased the base price October and November, no big delay, the same year 2017, and it has increased the base price from 440 to 45 rupees. And similarly, in the case of garlic bread, it has increased price by rupees 10. So 129 to 139. Though there is a decrease in the total price to be paid by the consumer, 519 to 509 and 152 to 146, but the difference between the base price, it is only, you can see, to make the profit out of this transaction. So this Mr. Kiran has made complaint to the authority to make the investigation. The Director General of Anti-Profiteering was of the view that the increase in the base price was only for the purpose of offsetting the reduction in the rate of GST. So the purpose was to reduce the prices, but this company has applied the new rate, but it has not reduced the prices of the product to commensurate the decrease in order to commensurate the decrease in the price of the product. So Domino's Pizza stated that they had to increase the prices since the 12% bracket came with the eligibility to take input tax credit, which the 5% rate did not permit. So this is not the reason that you want to take input tax credit, that's why you are charging the price at the higher rate. The increase in the base price was primarily to counter the impact of increasing cost and non-availability of input tax credit. So these two reasons has submitted by Domino's. So one is the increasing cost, but you can see in 1 month how much cost has been increased per unit, that is of rupees 45 and rupees 10 in the case of garlic bread. And second is that is non-availability of input tax credit, and we have seen in the case of section 17 subsection especially section 17, when there is a limitation to take input tax credit, and no such case is that you just change the price and to take the benefit of, because you are not getting input tax credit, that's why you are increasing the price. So this is not as per law. So our national authority note that the line of the Director General of Anti-Profiteering Measures and calculate the total amount of anti-profiteering at rupees 41.43 crore. This amount was to be distributed equally between Central Consumer Welfare Fund and Consumer Welfare Fund of the different states, because we have done this concept in unjust enrichment, that there is a one fund is created under section 54 and whose functions under section 55 and 57, that Consumer Welfare Fund is of the center as well as at the different states. So this price is imposed on, this amount is imposed on the Domino's Pizza, and this is equally distributed among the different welfare fund at different states and center. So you see, moreover, the Domino's Pizza was directed to refund rupees the difference in these two prices, that is rupees 5.65 to Chimirala along with the interest. So you see, this is the case of anti-profiteering measure, and there are a lot of cases on anti-profiteering measure happen after 2017, especially when the GST law was implemented in India, and you will see around 100 cases was lodged before the Director General of Anti-Profiteering Measure, and most of the cases are on the your real estate. So this is one of the case where, because Domino's Pizza are very close to us, that's why this case I am discussing here with you, and you if you need it, that I can give you the proper reference of this case as well. Now coming back to our discussion, that anti-profiteering measure, how it works, that is part 2 and part 3, that is subsection 2 and subsection 3 of the section 171. So if consumer has any complaint with them, even commissioner, so it means this is one provision where commissioner him or herself can take the action against the person who is indulge in the profiteering measure. So what this consumer has to do, one has to launch the complaint to the screening committee, and in every state there is a screening committee. There is no requirement to lodge the complaint to the screening committee physically, rather there are three mechanisms, that is through the toll-free number 2 that is the email ID, and third is that is online portal. And with these three help you can launch your complaint. Complaint may be alternately be filed directly to standing committee if incident relates to an item of mass impact with all India ramification. Prima facie view will be measured, and after evaluating the complaint, the element of profiteering will be determined. Then this case will be referred to for the investigation. After investigation, General Director of Safeguard, that is CBEC, now it is CBIC, that, and Director General of it is anti-profiteering measure. It will send findings to the NAA, and it may release order either to reduce prices, return benefit with interest, and in extreme cases penalty or cancellation of registration may happen. So this is the full procedure of to lodge one complaint against one person who is making profit out of the transaction where he has not reduced the prices which commensurate to the reduction into the reduction in the tax rates. Now you see the comparison between anti-profiteering measure and unjust enrichment, because the same things we have done in the case of even unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment is propounded under personal law or private law, you can say, especially law of torts, when there was no codified law. Anti-profiteering measure is the codified law on unjust enrichment. Conceptually, there is no difference between these two concepts. Both are based on doctrine of equity and justice. Both are complementary to each other. Yes, it can be said that principle of unjust enrichment is the genesis and anti-profiteering measure is the outcome of that. The principle of unjust enrichment is applicable in all general cases, including GST, but anti-profiteering measure is a special provision under section 171 of the Act, which is has exclusive application on the matter relating to GST. The principle of unjust enrichment talks about restoration of benefit, but anti-profiteering measure, it is more stringent. It also imposes penalty or interest on such unlawful act. Now, what are the rules regarding anti-profiteering measure? Like we have seen subsection 2 to 171 and subsection 3 to 171. It talks about some procedure, and procedures are laid down starting from rule 122. First one is constitution of authority. The authority shall consist of a chairman who holds or has held a post equivalent to rank to a secretary to the Government of India, 4 technical members beside the chairman who are or have been commissioner of state tax or central tax for at least 1 year or have held an equivalent post under the existing law to be nominated by the council. Then constitution of the standing committee and screening committee, which will be also having a place in center as well as in the different states. The council may constitute standing committee on anti-profiteering, which shall consist of such officers, the state government and central government as may notified by it. The state level screening committee shall be constituted in each state by the state government, which shall consist of 1 officer of the state government to be nominated by the commissioner and 1 officer of the central government to be nominated by the chief commissioner. Power to determine the methodology and procedure. Authority may determine the methodology and procedure for determination as to whether the reduction in the rate of tax on the supply of goods or services for the benefit of input tax credit has been passed on by the registered person to the recipient by way of commensurate reduction in prices. Now you see, this is one of the grey area which still exists in our law, that because there is no proper methodology that to be adopted to find out one transaction whether it's it is indulged in profiteering measure or not. So the power, it is given to the committee and as well as commissioner, and the power that is to determine methodology and procedure, it is not still certain. Rule 127 which describe the duties of the authority. The first one is to determine whether any reduction in the rate of tax or on any supply of goods or services or benefit of input tax credit has been passed on to the recipient by way of commensurate reduction in prices. To identify the registered person who has not passed on the benefit of reduction in the rate of tax on supply or benefit of ITC to the recipient by way of commensurate reduction in prices, or it also can make order into the reduction in price to return the recipient an amount equivalent to the amount not passed on by way of commensurate reduction in prices. Similarly, it may impose penalty and cancellation of registration. So you see, this is the topic about anti-profiteering measure. Now we will go to the zero rated supply. So we also made discussion on zero rated supply when we were discussing the supply in itself under section 7. Now zero rated supply it is defined under section 2 subsection 23 of the IGST Act, which talks about it has a meaning assigned in section 16. So we have to see what is section 16 talks about of IGST Act. So section 16 talks about zero rated supply means any of the following supplies of goods or services or both, namely, one is export of goods or services, second is supply of goods or services or both to special economic zone developer or a special economic zone unit. So two types of supplies are called as zero rated supply. One is either your export of goods or services, or the number two, that is supply of goods or services to economic special SEZ developer or SEZ unit. So it is important to note that supply made to special economic zone would be treated as zero rated supply, but supply made from special economic zone shall not be treated as zero rated, rather it will be treated as normal supply. Now section 16 subsection 2, it talks about the input tax credit as well as you can say the refund. So what it talks about, subject to the provision of subsection 5 of section 17, that is regarding your input tax credit of CGST Act, credit of input tax may be availed for making zero rated supplies, notwithstanding that such supply may be an exempt supply. So it means to say, even if you made the supply any which is of having a nature of exempt supply, even you can take the input tax credit. So it is overriding effect on the section 17.5. Then 16.3 says a registered person making zero rated supply shall be eligible to claim refund under either of the following options. So there are two options. One is the first clause says that the supplier has to file one bond or letter of undertaking and subject to the condition limitation regarding the payment or utilization of input tax credit, and B clause says that he may supply of goods or services or both subject to such conditions, safeguard and procedures as may be prescribed on the payment of integrated tax and claim the refund. So in order to claim refund, both are applicable. First one is either the first option is to claim the refund that a supplier makes the supply by submitting that bond or letter of undertaking. Number two, that he may make payment of the IGST Act and claim the refund later on. So but these provision must have follow the section 54, which is on you can say refund in itself. So all the requirement of section 54 must be fulfilled before claiming the refund. We have done a refund section in detail. Now let's see what are the two options in detail. So two options are available to one supplier or exporter. One is exporter under bond or letter of undertaking without payment of IGST and claim the refund of ITC. In this case, what is to be done? Exporter has to execute the bond or letter of undertaking prior to export, binding himself to pay the tax due along with the interest at the rate of 18%. So in this case, one bond is submitted by, or you can say letter of undertaking. In the case of bond, one bank guarantee is also submitted. All registered persons are eligible to furnish a letter of undertaking in place of bond, except those who are executed for cases involving amount exceeding rupees 250 lakh. So it means to say, in this case where the transaction amount is more than 250 lakh, letter of undertaking will work. The detail of export invoice should be submitted in GSTR 1, and you see whatever the detail will be submitting in GSTR 1, it will be leading to GSTR 3B. So in this case, there is no other option, I mean there is no second step to claim the refund. Whenever the supplier will file GSTR 3B, automatically if refund is there, then automatically it will be apply for that one. That will be treated as application for the refund. The second option, that is pay IGST at the time of export and claim refund thereof. In this case, the supplier make payment of the tax, whatever the due tax at the time of making supply, and claim the refund amount later on whenever he file his return under form GSTR 3B, that is his under section 39 ordinary return or monthly return, you can see. Now this is about our two lectures, that is on anti-profiteering measure and zero rate supply. In next lecture we will discuss the last portion of our discussion on miscellaneous topic, that is e-way bills. Thank you.